If you consider yourself a frequent watcher of my channel, which is just another way of saying you're neurodivergent, then you have no doubt heard of the amazing digital Circus. Surprisingly, I am a huge fan. It's a show that appeals to all of the neurons in my brain, which is basically just Undertale memes at this point. It's got a fun art style, fun characters, the existential dread of being forgotten. It's great! It's very rare that I see so much love for literally all of the characters, with absolutely no controversy at all. Okay, you've been here, this is getting old. We're to talk about Jax. The main issue everyone seems to be talking about is whether he's actually a nice guy underneath all of his silent suffering, or if he's just kinda a dick. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? Jax is a great person, the funny one. He's a bit of a prankster.
We all got briefs on our characters. I'm your assistant.
Is that a baby head lamp?
Didn't you get one too? I figured we were all on the same page here, but if not, you're gonna have to tap into those golden improv skills.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh yeah, I didn't give you one because I wanted to see what you'd do.
Thanks, Jax.
The best one-liners that always cracks everyone up.
Can you believe this, Pomni? First she draws anime, now she drags us all into one? She must be one of them, losers.
You threw me out of a moving truck.
And always helping out his friends with some tough love.
Ladies first. No, wait, why would I say that?
Now, I know that looks bad, but he was just showing people equal rights. He's even a feminist. What's not to love? Okay, I should probably drop the sarcasm before someone sends a bomb to my house. Jax is not a good person. A take so cold it makes Antarctica look like a desert in Egypt. He's also one of my favorite characters next to Ragatha and Kinga, so I was kinda confused at the discourse surrounding him. A lot of people are trying to say he's a soft, ooh-woo nice guy, and others are saying he's the spawn of Satan, when, like, no? I think a lot of people on both sides are kind of missing the point with this character. So here I am to tell you that my interpretation of a character is way better than yours. God, I'm a fucking loser. Can't fix my hair. We gotta cancel the whole recording session. To be honest, watching these older episodes of Digital Circus made me spend a lot of time looking back into the past, and that was depressing, seeing a person you don't really recognize anymore. So I got into vaping to calm down. And also, side note, I'm addicted to vaping now. But thanks to this video's sponsor, Fume, I was able to find a healthy alternative. I play it up for the videos, but genuinely, vaping is a serious issue for a lot of my younger family, so things like Fume really speak to me. There's no smoke or nicotine, just flavored air without any chemicals. It's a replacement for a bad habit and actually has good flavors. I'm a huge fan of peppermint, so crisp mint instantly became my favorite, but Fume comes with like a million different flavors. It's nuts. Also, it's a really nice fidget toy. Sometimes breaking a habit isn't just about willpower. It's about having something better to reach for instead. 500,000 people already tried it, so why don't you? With my link in the description or by using my code, Oranges, you get a free Fume topper. So check it out now. And thanks Fume for sponsoring this video. Anyway, let's get back to it. Now, Thai board oranges. What could possibly be this brand new, never heard of take that justifies this video? Well, I guess it's that he's a tragic character, just like everyone else in the circus. This does not mean I am defending his many fucked up actions. Okay, just hear me out. A really major aspect to consider with the situation everyone is in is just how unique it really is. You put on a headset, get a new and totally random body, and then forget your own name. Nobody knows how to get out. Nobody is really trying either, and the only person who might be able to help you is too busy trying and failing to make interesting adventures to distract from that original problem. What's even worse is that you have to walk this tightrope between being emotionally detached enough from your situation, but lucid enough to not completely lose your mind. Because if you do, then it's truly game over.
I've been looking for this. Thanks for keeping an eye on it, Coffee. I'm gonna head out. See ya.
If someone in the circus properly accepts their situation, then they actually lose all sense of self and eventually get trapped in a basement with everyone else who lost their minds too. Our main character and intro into this totally awesome and amazing world, Pomni, almost snaps on her first day there. Honestly, I'm surprised anyone has managed to avoid abstraction. Period. This is like the pandemic on steroids, but then you become a Club Penguin character on top of it. If Pomni was a few steps away from abstracting in just a few hours, then how have some of these characters been here for years without, you know... I'm not even trying to be funny when I say this, but pure, unfiltered copium. A lot of the characters just give themselves things to do to distract themselves at basically all times of the day, and I don't blame them. Kinga lost his fucking wife in this game, but saved himself by going just crazy enough to forget everything else about his life, but not crazy enough to... Zubul has body dysphoria and keeps themselves sane by not really doing anything. Only taking part in adventures they like and also just being a pretty decent person. People don't really talk about it that much, but Zubul is really kind. When a character gets high/drunk/stupid, they'd stay behind to give them a drive home. And not to mention how much they've helped Gangle in becoming a stronger, more confident person. But more on that later. Gangle is how I think I'd react 9 times out of 10, which is basically just masking as much as possible and desperately clinging on to whatever aspect of real life I could. Wait, that sounds bad. Ragatha spends a lot of her time focusing on everyone else, trying her best to be as nice as possible just to make things easier. But she kinda comes off as insincere because of this, which is also kind of bad actually. But hey, at least it keeps them busy. I'm sure this won't be expanded upon at all later in the video. Pomni, despite her very rough introduction, is actually pretty well adjusted. She has problems, stresses over them for a bit, and then deals with them. She's a vibe, not gonna lie. I spent a little bit of time explaining everyone's issues and how they deal with them poorly for the most part, because I think they're all necessary to really analyze Jax. I think he's a major parallel to each of them in one way or another. If I had to describe Jax, I'd say he is everyone's coping mechanisms at their absolute worst. He originally just seems like a dick, taking advantage of the fictional nature of this world he's in to do whatever he wants, which is mainly bullying everyone around him. But every so often, we find out more and more about him, and it kind of becomes clear that Jax is still a dick, but also a person with traits that aren't insufferable. And that is way more interesting than any of those other lame characters. Oh, my wife died. Well, this guy isn't a one-note dick, so who's really more important? The character trope of being an uwu soft boy, as my parents watch these videos by the way. I'ma call this trait the coconut character syndrome, because I couldn't find a generalized term for the other aspect of Jax that needs attention, which is his subversion of the coconut character syndrome. A coconut character is someone that has a very hard exterior, but a much softer side that the audience sees once that character is given more attention by the story. And most importantly, that character has a massive group of their fans heavily focus on that aspect of their characterization. Honestly, it can get to the point of infantilization. Anyhow, think Zuko from Avatar, the good one, not the one with the blue people, or the one in real life, oh god! The Onceler from the Lorax, Luigi Mangione, the real person, and many others. Anyhow, normally these people would be a little rough on the outside at first, till we get their tragic backstory, like their mum died or they wanted to impress their family or something. That was clearly the way the writers wanted people watching the show to feel about Jax. Episode 1 really has him acting exactly how everyone would have expected him to, cracking jokes and annoying everyone, but still giving people the hints that he's a nicer guy underneath all of that sarcasm. Where is that, actually? The entire pilot episode has Jax constantly being a dick to everyone. There isn't even a hint of anything deeper than him just being that dick. But audiences of the show are so conditioned by other media that we assumed eventually we'd get a deeper look into Jax. And the fucked up thing is, we never really do. Episode 2, he continues to bully Gangle. His cruelty was turned up to 11 in this one too.
Gotta say, this is a lot more anticlimactic than I was hoping it'd be.
What were you hoping for?
You know, like one big final battle, bloodshed, death, chaos, whatever.
It seemed like every time he was going to be on screen for the foreseeable future, it was going to be him destroying our preconceptions of how he was going to develop. In these first 2 episodes, the man is not fun to beer up. Like, at all. Honestly, I was starting to get a little disappointing considering the level of writing every other character was being shown, even with episodes that weren't focused on them. Oh, right, the creator did tweet out how each episode would focus on a different character, so that kind of explains why he was so one-dimensional, right? Well, no, because everyone else has been having their character arc set up during episodes focused on everyone else. But Jax just didn't. Every other member of the circus has been making legitimate progress towards being in better places mentally. Starting with Pomni, who has anxiety about being forgotten and left alone after abstracting. She's able to move past that after seeing her new friends mourn the people they have lost. Kinga goes from the funny, crazy dude to holy shit, the best character in the show. He doesn't really develop, but opens up in a situation to explain his unusual demeanor. He also gets to talk to his wife one last time, which would have been some form of closure for him. Gangle in the episode after is given the closest thing to her real life back as possible, being allowed to work at a fast food chain for a day, and she realizes a few things. Number one, she can't mask all of her issues forever. That the second she doesn't feel the need to put on a character, almost all of her problems won't disappear. And number two, working this job fucking sucks, and drawing anime is way cooler. But why does that matter when that was Jack's development? After the same routine, Jax seems to be bored and just has a chat with Pomni. That's it! The flat bully character spoke to someone with basic respect for them as a person! He's saved. Ragatha is a people pleaser, putting her own needs under everyone else's, just to make sure they're all having a great time. And clearly everyone has gotten pretty sick of that act. Her progression forward happens in two stages, with Pomni telling her that it's okay to be mean sometimes, but more importantly, advice Kinga gave her, which was that friendship was a two-way street and how she cannot sacrifice her own happiness for others if she ever wants to truly love herself. Zubul is the most proactive with their development. Before the series even starts, they are walking towards their goal of having a body they are comfortable in. It's quite interesting because you can notice that characters who have themselves figured out to some extent are usually the ones reaching out to help other people do the same. Then there's Jax, who I purposely didn't talk about. In these episodes, we do genuinely see another side to him. One where he is legitimately a decent person to be around, and seems to show actual care for someone else.
Do you think Gangle is actually capable of being happy?
It really seems like he is going to befriend Pomni and really tackle that part of himself that feels the need to be a dick to everyone. They seriously hit it off, and then Jax shatters everything all in one colossal moment, where he ignores the growth everyone else has gone through and refuses to change.
Oh, here we go. Because I didn't fight back, that means I secretly care about you? I'm just a misunderstood little chicken fetus in an egg that needs to be cracked open. Well, I am not. I do not care about you or anyone else in this circus in the slightest. End of story. You are my playthings, and I get joy out of making you suffer. I'm the one who causes pain for fun. If I led you on, it was just to make this part hurt you more. Fuck. There's nothing more to me. So please, just stop looking.
In a moment that felt like perfect bait for Jax to fully commit to being a coconut character, he practically yells at the audience that he has no intention of ever being that. That behind his douchebag traits, his bullying and awful behavior, that there is nothing else to him as a person. I think the face he makes while saying that isn't out of guilt for what he said to Pomni, but because this is probably the first time he has ever admitted to someone that he has done nothing but ruin his connections with everyone else in the circus. And that's all he has to show for his time here. Everyone watching probably has a person they might have known who was just awful, but they probably never admitted it, excusing their behavior in a million different ways. For someone to tell another person how terrible they are, with no excuse, no reason for that behavior, would mean two things for them. Either they're like turbo evil, or they're blatantly aware of how miserable admitting something like that must be. This face is nothing but an extension of Jax's self-loathing at the choices he has made, and his stubborn refusal to change anything about it. I feel like I've barely gotten to talk about Jax, as everyone else's relations to him is also more important for how I personally view him, as he is a perfect contrast to the main theme of the amazing digital circus, change and growth. The ending scene in episode 6 wasn't all that surprising to me, because there was a major red flag basically at the start of the episode, when Jax talks about his feelings of the circus. When Pomni expresses a want to not hurt her friends, Jax only has one response.
You know none of this is real, right?
Before going into a monologue about everyone being character archetypes. Ragatha's the nice one, Gangle is the sad one, Kinger is the crazy one, Zubul is the grumpy one, and Jax is the funny one. I haven't seen anyone point out how fucking awesome this scene was, because you know that whole change and growth theme I just spoke about a paragraph ago? Jax's worldview and summary of these people is directly opposed to the growth they are going through. He hasn't looked into these people deeper than their one thing, and assumes that's how they all will be with absolutely no nuance. His summary of Kinger as just the crazy one is so heartbreaking, because the dude has gone through it. It also recontextualizes something he said in an episode before about Gangle.
Do you think Gangle is actually capable of being happy?
I thought this was originally because he wanted to show concern for Gangle, but like, no. Jax asked if Gangle can ever be happy because if they change, how's she still gonna be the sad one? I think that's why he's always so hard on her, to stop her from ever growing past his initial summary of her character. I mean, if she did, Jax's whole idea of character archetypes would be wrong, and if that's the case, then his whole funny guy persona shatters. His excuse for treating everyone the way he has shatters. And what then? The coldest take of the year is saying Jax's monologue at the end isn't fully true because of his own actions in the last couple of episodes. His growing relationship with Pomni is a major standout because they were having a good time, and he was clearly shaken up by the stuff he said to her.
Jeez, you really can't take a joke, can you?
Yeah, he pushed her away, but he does try to comfort her in his own stunted, non-committed way. That's why I say Jax is a miserable character. If everyone else is being dragged down by an anchor, Jax is the one who's not fighting against the weight. Ragatha and Zubul are great parallels and contrasts when looking into Jax, because they are linked in such interesting ways. I love it. Ragatha in episode 6 believes she's burnt all of the bridges with everyone in the circus, saying they know all her tricks and don't actually want to hang out with her anymore. Pomni acted as a way for her to reach out again and have a proper friend, entirely because she doesn't know who Ragatha is. Jax is doing the same thing. He has burnt every bridge by being a complete asshole, so when Pomni shows up, he tries this whole archetype shit with her, calling her a kid and deciding that she was going to be this paranoid child forever, until she tells him that she is a grown adult with a proper job. Shit, sorry, I forgot that's a trigger for some of you, my bad. Jax was clearly taken aback by this.
So, Pomni, you ever have any jobs? Or are you too young for that?
I'm 25 years old. And yeah, I was an accountant for a supermarket chain.
A supermarket? How'd you end up here?
Then tries to relate to it in the next episode.
Look, I know what it's like. One day you're somebody in the real world doing important things, and then the next you're just a weird little cartoon jester. You want to hold on to that part of you that still thinks it's part of that world, but in the end, what does it get you? Ragatha tries to be all nice and friendly, but she gets torn up every other adventure. Whether we like it or not, all we are now is a bunch of cartoon characters. So what's the point of pretending we're not?
He was hoping to find the same thing Ragatha was looking for in Pomni, which is also why I think they both had very common breakdowns from anxiety. Going non-verbal and having a realistic depiction of a panic attack, whoa! They're parallel lines. They'll never meet or understand each other, but they're going in the same direction. Zubul is more of a contrast, I guess. I think those are different words. They are the opposite of Jax in every way because they haven't gone and ignored everything to put on a character. They have their issues and are open about it. They're real. They also build a connection with Gangle, but, actually encouraged them to be more confident, whereas Jax just always tore her down. The total opposites. And they're also apparently the youngest in the circus too. This was clearly intentional. Like, even in this episode, they both have a talk with another character, where they both talk about their worldview. Jax says everything isn't real and everyone is a character trope. Then Zubul says Gangle isn't a toy, and that she's a real person. It's funny too, because Jax rejects the very idea of another trope being attached to him, while throwing the label onto everyone else. This show is so fucking good, guys. My opinion on Jax has remained the same basically since episode 4, which is that he isn't just a one-note asshole, but that he is someone who is suffering just like everyone else, but handles it in the worst way. A guy so obsessed with maintaining this image of the funny guy that he cannot allow himself to be open with others because of the traumas of his past. And that is tragic. But even when someone is struggling, if they treat people around them like trash, nobody owes it to them to be understanding or kind or patient. As much as I feel bad for Jax, this is a box he put himself in because of his toxic coping mechanisms. He isn't someone who needs to be infantilized when he's an adult who is actively choosing to be a dick. He practically says this himself, but this is Ragatha's fault somehow. So this is where the analysis on Jax stops, and I look at how people in this audience would rather ignore all of the crimson red flags floating around Jax and direct their hatred towards Ragatha. I mean, there are clearly parallels, so the fact that these two are always brought up together makes sense. But the idea that Ragatha is as bad or worse than Jax is baffling to me. A lot of people online cite the rare moments of Ragatha being a dick to someone to try and paint this idea that she's totally fake and awful and toxic, when like, if you zoomed out, like, even a little bit, then there's either a totally reasonable explanation for that behavior, or Jax was being an ass. Episode 4 is the Ragatha hatred copium, entirely because Ragatha gets high/drunk/stupid and calls Gangle annoying while masking. And like, that's really mean. But Ragatha apologized multiple times. Then there's Jax in the same episode, throwing someone into a deep fryer and saying the exact same thing.
Oh no! It looks like I've taken Ragatha and dropped her in the deep fryer. I like you better when you're sad.
Or episode 5. Jax was taking digs at Ragatha the whole episode. She then accidentally references a friend of Jax who got abstracted. She immediately tries to explain herself to Jax, but later in the episode, she gets rightfully upset at the dude who treats everyone like shit. Accidentally blows up at Pomni and then apologizes again. Like, to Pomni and Jax. Like, the difference between them could not be more obvious. When Jax goes too far, he doesn't apologize. He just tries to play it off as a joke. Ragatha apologized frame 1. How is she toxic? It's okay. I'm an Undertale fan and I'm used to the greatest takes on the planet, so whatever. I'm not super sure how to close this video as it's something pretty different from everything else besides the Chris video, but I guess if you want a summary of everything, The Amazing Digital Circus is a really good show where every character feels like a person. It is also a popular show, seen by so many people in the world that there will be takes like this, and that's just how it will be. I don't really think a take about a YouTube show is directly comparable to how you would treat a person in real life. But it is fun to talk about how I viewed something completely differently to others, and I can see where the Jax defenders are coming from. This means the show is so good that people can interpret stuff differently, and they can make a good point to justify it. Except Ragatha, you are all wrong about her. Honestly, I think the big takeaway here is that I'm awesome and cool and right about everything, and you are all wrong. Unlike the Patreons you can now see on screen. But I'd like to give a special thank you to my $5 and up Patreons: Chromatic Aberrant, Nokotro Official, Much Appreciated, Obscuroni, and Po Fanatic or Israfel's Fire. I really couldn't do this without you guys, so I really do appreciate it. I'm gonna head out for now, so I'll see you when I see you, I guess. Have a wonderful day. See you, lads.